10 a.m. on the West Coast, 7 p.m. and in the UK. Thanks for joining us. Happy Monday. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Annie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Happy Labor Day.
Happy Labor Day to you. Remembering all of those. Yes. So we just want to take a few minutes here and give everybody everyone time. Everyone who registered, my English will come along as this goes, I promise. I just want to give everyone who registered a couple of minutes in case they're running behind to jump on with us. Thanks for joining us on this Monday afternoon or morning or evening, depending on where you're tuning in from. I'm joined by the amazing Annie Grieve, who has put together a fun little walkthrough for us on fall trends, what we can look for, what we can expect, especially if we're in the salon, we're in schools, we're in the barber shop, you know, what's going to be driving colors and cuts and fashion for the next, 4 or 5 months, Annie?
At least, very least. The fall trend can often present well into early spring, which I think is cool. You know, some people don't adapt and adopt as quickly as others do. So something I love about what we're going to be talking about today is there are small things that people can do to feel more on trend than, you know, changing their hair color completely. And what's that, Willie?
You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I had a mentor years ago who taught to me the vast, I mean, it was so long ago that she told me, you know, every end of August, grab the September issue of Vogue and 3 other publications so that you can get a great feeling for what will be coming in hair, in fashion, in I haven't talked very much this morning, so I've got a little frog in my throat. In what we will be doing as hairdressers for the next year. And I think it's really exciting that you know, now we've got the internet so that we can do trend forecasting much earlier. The fall winter trend sets the mood for what tones we're going to be using in color, what's going to be happening in texture, what's going to be happening in styling, and for sure at 100% how we're going to be cutting hair for the next year. But the trend comes out, so fall winter 23 is what is being presented at New York Fashion Week this year. So the designers and the mass clothing manufacturers have the lead time to make all of the clothes before we as the end consumers want them. Willie, tell me, when are you up and ready to start the slideshow?
So that's great. That's a great lead in, fantastic information. So if you're currently watching on Facebook, YouTube, or streaming with us on Zoom, if you have questions, please ask in the Q&A on the Zoom, and the comments on Facebook and on YouTube, because we are streaming to 2 other locations this morning or this afternoon. And Annie, it's all yours. Do your introduction. You let me know when you want the PowerPoint to go up, and I'm here to help you. Have fun.
Okay, let's start the PowerPoint. I've been working on the PowerPoint for a little while. Do you have that on your end, Willie?
Absolutely. Just bear with me here. I have to share it to several locations.
Okay.
You should see it now, correct?
Absolutely.
All right.
So if you want to just go to the very first. So here are why we track fashion trends. In our industry, there's become this habit of being an order taker, just letting your client walk in with 5 pictures of what they want for their hair and we kind of extrapolate out of those pictures to get the end result of what they want. But when we are ahead of trend, when we're tracking what's happening, we're able to become negotiators. It's our job as fashion innovators in our industry to help our clients evolve their look and the silhouettes that they're comfortable in order to stay current and fashionable. And they trust us to be the ones to kind of hold their hands through these transitions. I know some of my clients will come in, wash their hair in hot water for a couple of weeks before they come in so they can get a completely different color palette in their hair. And other clients of mine, adding a little extra face framing is like a big move for them. So it's up to us to keep planting seeds and creating expectation for the new, which is important. And as long as we are evolving our clients, we are retaining our clients. I think the biggest comment that's been made to me over the course of my career is from a new client. My hairdresser just kept doing the same thing. She never suggested anything new. And I feel like I'm in a rut. I feel frumpy, like the death word from all clients. I'm like, no. Let's get you feeling fresh and current and beautiful again, for men and for women. They feel like their hairdressers aren't evolving them. It's time to find a new hairdresser. Okay, let's switch to the next slide. The biggest arbiter of taste in our industry is Pantone. Pantone comes out with a color trend for the year, and these are the colors that we're going to be seeing in fashion and in clothing. Certainly, two of the biggest trends that are coming out for 22-23 are cerulean blue and fresh mint green. So when I say fresh mint, I mean like the color of my shirt, not pastel green. So if we look at this color palette and we know this is what our clients are going to be wearing, we can extrapolate what will be happening with hair color, with skin color. If we have makeup artists on, what's going to be trending for lip for fall. And something that I love about this is we don't have the traditional jewel tones that we normally see in a fall trend. There's a lot of light and a lot of bright. And if you look at the top, those are the shades that they're saying are our neutrals going into fall. That gives us a really good idea that things are going to be trending a little warmer than they normally do, and warmer certainly in hair color than we've been seeing in maybe the last 5 years. Okay. So here are the top trends that I'm seeing that I've been tracking for the last year. I know that there's a couple of items on this list that are gonna kind of knock people on their heels. There was a lot of controversy over center part versus side part in the last few years. And a little bit of me is thinking, internet trolls exist. And also, the center part's not gone. The deep side part is just like what is current. The most fashion forward people are trending to a much deeper part even than I'm wearing today, and with lots and lots of hair embellishments, headbands and barrettes and things that we haven't been seeing. And something I love that started sort of in like music festival trending and is continuing into the fall are little rhinestones glued into the part line in people's hair. And I love that. So when we're tracking trends and we're tracking color, we can go to the next slide. This is what I mean when I say it is a trend across the board. This cerulean blue is on almost every single runway this year. And we're looking at 3 completely separate trends with the same shade. So we have the tank top trend and the sheer rhinestoney, sequensy vibe with a blunt French bob. And then it's also showing us the wet look. Then we have in the center is what's being tracked as dark academia. So we're looking at, more preppy, more athletic, but the shapes and dimensions in the clothing are extravagant. They're either very large, boxy shapes or very small, very cropped shapes. And then we also have the wet look, slicked down look. And then the third picture, we have those goddess waves that have been around. They're deeper and they're more defined than a beachy wave, but we have that in more of the like flirty romance look. Okay, let's go to the next one. So here is that blunt shattered bob that is everywhere for fall. What this means is our clients who are married to the deep inverted bob, it's time for us to start bringing that line up to parallel to the floor, maybe not all in one session. Maybe start showing them these images, showing them what it looks like, how fresh and how pretty it is. And of course, within this, we're also looking at the color trend, like lower right-hand corner. It's very warm, it's bronzes, it's golds, and it tracks with the colors that are happening in fashion. The center image of the woman with the sunglasses is taken straight off the streets from Paris Fashion Week. That was just a few weeks ago. And it's that very blunt with the shatter in the interior of the shape. And also a much heavier fringe is trending for fall. Should we go to the next one? Okay, so here we have our deep side part. It is everywhere. I could not fit all of the examples I could find into this slide. It's everywhere. And smack dab in the center is what I think is one of the funniest and most Y2K trends. It's that white tank top. You're going to be seeing white tank tops underneath everything going into fall. And also we've got the sheer with the sequins. We've got like opera gloves are hot for getting fancy for fall, but you can also see that it's a mishmash of the wet look, the goddess waves, the hair embellishments. This trend it's amazing. Let's go to the next one. Here we have our color trends for fall. If it's going to be yellow, if it's going to be blonde, blonde. Even that inside of the banana blonde has some warmth to it, some yellow to it. So all of our icy gray, white blondes are they're disappearing, and we're moving our clients into a richer, warmer blonde. But because cerulean blue is the color of the moment, the reason I used it as the background for this slide, you can see firsthand how these colors, these Titian, copper, red, honey blondes, bronzy blondes, how they get set up and brightened by that blue color. And we have the Miss Jenner showed up on New York Fashion Week in this new Titian copper color. And of course, it made headlines all over the fashion industry. And if you're looking for someone on television, for like a great celebrity to show your clients, Siobhan from oh my gosh, I'm blanking on Succession. Shiv is the exact target Tishan that we want to be looking for. So there's a little tiny picture of her there on the reds. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So here we're talking braiding. Braiding is massive. The upper left corner, I feel like that's a little bit of a Game of Thrones Khaleesi vibe. But both of the women with the black bows in their hair are definitely trending dark academia. That's a trend that was absolutely on the runways, but it's also a big TikTok trend. So for your clients who are on the Clock app, this is a really, really cool way for you to sort of embrace their vibe, is with the braiding and the loose, soft, full. Also, the headbands is another dark academia vibe. And I'm seeing pearl headbands, big puffy headbands with just pearls all over them. And I'm also seeing a return to I call it like early 90s, Y2K, and now the headbands, like the woman wearing the headband at the top, where it's a bunch of little W's that are stuck together that pull back and create really lovely texture around the face, a very clean look. And of course, the adorable embellishment on the part line. I think it looks so cool. It's so current. It's such a neat way for your clients who are getting formal hairstyling to stand out from their friends and really be showstoppers. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is a trend that is still holding over from last fall. We're talking Bixie and Mixie. The Bixie is a bob pixie hybrid. I'll actually be teaching a class on that the final Monday of September. I've come up with my own way to create a shape that really is wearable and palatable for everyone who wants a cute, short, modern style. The Mixie is really cute when people don't want to lose their length in the back, and it gives them a little more behind. And you can see with these images, some of these are directly pulled from the runway. We've got braids, we've got barrettes, we've got that copper, we've got a lot of face exposure with fringe too. Nice heavy fringe, but still a lot more face exposed than with the heavier curtain fringe that have been trending. Okay. Here we have our jeweled barrettes. I've got my little nod to spooky season in my hair today. And this, again, this trends with the deep side part and the dark academia look. I think these work best on a very full blowout, but you can also see the wet look that is like, I feel like the wet look's trending harder on the East Coast, but it's starting to show up out here on the West Coast as well. And it's such a cool, edgy kind of devil may care look to it. Okay. So here are our men's trends for fall, because men's hair fashion is just as interesting and edgy as women's hair fashion this year. I love what's happening. And our little model on the side shows several of the trends that are happening. There's a very low fade, and he's also wearing a hairstyle called the quiff, which is a very classic, very much like the French crop, but longer. And it's been around for, well, I think since the 20s. So when the quiff became a hairstyle, it's not quite a pompadour, and it's not quite the classic businessman's cut. Let's start with the first slide. So here we have a shape that was very popular, kind of early 90s and again Y2K. And I'm noticing this trend, it's doing the same kind of bounce as the other ones that I was talking about that are trending sort of 89, 90, 99, 2000, and now. And that is the Caesar cut. And the things that set the Caesar apart is there's really not a lot of fade. In fact, on the far right, you can see it's got the shove forward, but there's quite a bit of hair still on the sides. I think with the Caesar, you can go as long as an inch to an inch and a half on the sides and make it a more rounded shape. It stands out because of all of the texture and movement that exists inside of the shape. Okay. And here we have our classic French crop. The thing that's different this year about the French crop is the front is a lot longer than it has been historically. Normally with the French crop, you get right up next to the hairline to tighten it in and sometimes do a little more design work around the prominence. But this year it's a more natural fade up into length. And with the gentleman in the center who is direct from the runway, we're seeing those bleach highlights coming back in. Okay. This is the quiff. This is all the different shapes and styles that it comes in. You can see that there is a shape for every client who wants that full groomed, tailored look. It does not necessarily have to be a tight taper around the edges. That is more of the classic shape, but I like it that we are playing with dimension a little bit, maybe a little bit more cutting with our shears and a little less cutting with our clippers. And I know for me personally, going from that really tight taper into the length, my shark fin erasers are indispensable for that. It's one of my favorite grooming tools for men's cutting. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this is that K-pop inspired mop top. You see a lot of texture. You see a lot more length than we've been seeing in men's hair fashion for a while. And I love it that K-pop is kind of starting to influence commercial fashion, not just people who are quite trendy, very internet focused on their fashion looks. As people learn who BTS are and that it's not an acronym for back to school, we're seeing a lot more of that and a lot more texture because the K-pop perm is such a big deal. So all three of these guys have that curly, permy vibe on a moppy cut. Okay, next shape. So here we have more of the modern version of a bowl cut, honestly. The bowl cut, that skater cut, was so hot in the early 90s. And since that is where we're drawing so much fashion inspiration. So this is not the classic, like complete hard line. This is a softer version that does have texture, that does have movement. And it's not such a tight shape as we've been seeing in barbering. Everything is getting more tailored and the length is starting to show up. It's a great way to evolve those the super high tight gentleman's cut into something new. Keep them in your chair. Okay, let's move to the next one. Here we have that men's perm, men's texture trend. And I chose these three images intentionally because we've got on the far left, we've got two trends in one. We have the men's highlighting that is not necessarily white out bleach. It's a very golden bronzy shape with a men's perm. In the center, it shows you that it does not have to be super curly to be a texture service. And that is more of the K-pop body wave, where you just take a relatively large perm rod and wrap the hair around 1.5 times just to give it subtle wave and movement. And then, of course, the third one is what's the most trending classic, just a little bit of curl to what could be considered a quiff cut. Okay. Here is our men's color trend. Men are wanting texture and color. They want chemical services. We just need to show them imagery that explains like how they can get what they want and can't clarify if they know they want something a little bit different. What I like about all of these is that it's showing us, you know, from the edgiest in the lower left-hand corner, where it's that French crop with bleached out tips and a dark base. Same thing in the upper right-hand corner, to the guy in the upper left-hand corner, where it's just, you know, really highlighted with color to create that movement and texture that color gives hair. And I like that, like lower right-hand corner, hardly anything. I would say that's probably more of a balayage technique for men, where we hand place where we want the light to brighten the shape up. Okay. So I think this is a great digestible, bite-sized example of what will be trending for us for the next few months, for sure. We now have it like hip pocket ideas of how to slowly evolve our clients' hair trends and keep them in our chairs longer. Maybe with the color services that we haven't considered before, we can actually increase our bottom line and help our clients feel more evolved. So are there any questions, anything that I can answer?
No questions. Comments about thank you, and then the in-depth on the color, you know, the colors, the Pantones, forgive me, the Pantones, and even given their numbers there. Thank you for that information.
Absolutely.
I was trying to make it larger so everyone could see like the Pantone name and the number, but I wasn't able to do that. So I'll just post that as the cover for this video on our YouTube channel, so it's nice and large for everybody.
Well, and something that I think is really cool is that Pantone puts out a color for the next year, and it will influence every single thing that happens in interior design, in paint, in hair, in fashion. And it's usually right around December 8th that they launch the color of the year. I have been tracking that too, and it looks like we're going for a more like a dusty lavender vibe, which still works perfectly with the hair color trends of warmer bronzes, goldens, Titians.
Definitely. Well, a lot of people saying thank you, and I'll say thank you very much. I know that it's a holiday, so thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. And everyone who tuned in, whether it's Facebook or YouTube or here on Zoom, thank you. This video will be up within 24 hours on our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to find the entire video there. And Annie, again, thanks for jumping in and doing education. I look forward to having you back in just a couple weeks to do a Bixie haircut. It's going to be great.
That's going to be super fun. And what I love about the Bixie is that it is really a unisex shape. It can be worn by everyone. Yeah. And very palatable, very much on trend.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing it as well. I'm not sure if you know or if the people know, but you know, our collection's coming out. Well, we're shooting our collection in October, and one of the haircuts is a Bixie. And I'm really excited about the person that we're going to be doing it on. I'm really excited about a variation, how we're going to show the exact same haircut that would be a Bixie and then just push it out longer into like this fashionable mullet that can be worn by anyone. Anybody can wear it. So really exciting things coming with that as well. And I think it's a perfect time for that haircut because it's being requested a lot, and it's going to be included in our, you know, our upcoming collection as well.
Very cool. And part of that class is the history of the Bixie. This is not the first time it's been around.
Oh.
So that will be kind of cool to be able to share that history of the shape with everybody too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just something that we've been doing, the industry's been doing for 30 or 40 years. It just has a different name, right? Like balayage was not new. We just kind of put a new name on it. And, you know, I remember I have an aunt who's been doing hair for 40 plus years. And when I went back and had a conversation with her, we were talking about balayage, and she's like, I've been doing that for decades. It's not new, you know?
Right.
So it's really cool to see where these things come from, because there are so few things in our industry as far as like actual new haircuts that are new. We're just seeing it shorter or longer or different variations. Right.
Changing the length does change the shape, and we're just messing around with proportion.
That's it. Well, thank you all for tuning in. Annie, again, thank you for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.